Hey everybody, I'm Nick Von Walkerworth and you're listening to the Von Dubcast. These intros I usually talk a little bit about the guests, what we talk about, and a bit about my life and what's been happening in it. If you want to skip right to the interview, skip to about 10 minutes. If not, buckle up, let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 135 of the Von Dubcast. Really excited about this episode. This is Hunter Mouallem's second time on the podcast. Hunter is a musician from Slave Lake. He makes some amazing music. He's really dedicated to it. He is so wise beyond his years in terms of chasing this goal or this dream of his to make it as an artist. And I think as I get further and further into this process of trying to become a podcaster, I realize a big dream like that, it's easy to talk about, it's easy to dream about, but it's a lot harder to do. And I think I learn something every time I talk to Hunter, even though he's, physically multiple years younger than me. I think just wisdom wise, he has such a good head on his shoulders and he has a really good mindset that helps him move tangible steps toward his goal all the time. And that I think is just super impressive. And I think we had another little great conversation. We talk about it on the podcast kind of leading up to it, but I think right now he's down in Vegas opening for Snoop Dogg and Travis Barker and these guys. It's wild. He was at Mike Tyson's house for like a post-show party or something. Oh man, I'm just following along on social media, just being jealous as all get out, and not really jealous. I'm happy for him. I love to see it, and it's great to see somebody from Slave Lake really kicking ass and chasing a dream. It really fills me up with inspiration and confidence for myself, and I want everyone to succeed that is willing to put themselves on the line like that. So also, like I say every intro, if you guys could help with the podcast in a couple of these ways, if you could tell a friend about it, if you could reach out with guest suggestions, following social media always really helps, sharing the post really helps. All those things go a really long way towards this podcast growing and succeeding as well. There's the Oilers Uncensored podcast, which is on this feed. It might be getting its own YouTube channel, which is exciting, and we're getting the YouTube channels caught back up. We're getting some help from a really talented young gentleman that maybe you guys will get to meet a little bit sooner into the future here. And that's really exciting. The Oilers Uncensored podcast has been absolutely dynamite. I mean, also thanks to the Oilers being absolutely dynamite and winning Game 7. Let's go. That was a big win, big day. We had my grandma's celebration of life. She passed quite a while ago, but due to COVID, we kind of had to push things, and we were finally able to do it on Saturday. And it was just a beautiful day. So nice to see so many familiar faces, so much family, sing some German songs, have some laughs, have some beers, celebrate kind of in our true fashion of how our family celebrates, and told some really great stories and had a lot of tears, because that's what also how our family rolls. It's lots of tears, lots of laughs, lots of beers, and just had an amazing time with everybody. Left that and drove right to the game. Traffic was crazy. I jumped out a couple blocks down and ran like Forrest Gump I just had an Oilers jersey over top of my suit. Really rocking the full style there. Rolled into the barn. I think I had just missed warm-ups, just came in. Chase had beers at the seats already, and we floored it. We had an amazing time. We had our whole section rocking. There was nobody that was having anything but the best time of their life within 15 feet of us in that arena. Like me and Chase are pretty wild boys at the game, and we get the whole crowd involved. I mean, I think we should eventually start charging money to just sit in and around us when we're at a game and we're fired up like that, because it is just pure entertainment. We had everybody going, the high fives were just flying, and then in the concourse after, just firing everybody up, throwing fives out there like it's nobody's business, starting the chants. We were buzzing. And then on the street afterward, went out for a couple drinks. It was quite the fun night. Yeah, Saturday was a great night, and now we get the absolute pleasure of watching this Calgary game that's about to start. That's what I'm trying to get this podcast this intro in before this game starts. But the way I see it, the Oilers are going to beat whoever nerds stand in front of them, so it doesn't really matter. But with my head, I think I would rather play Dallas. I think Calgary's a better team, and I also just could never ever bring myself to even put any sort of positivity into my mind for the Flames. So I'm hoping they lose, but also if they don't, how sweet is this Battle of Alberta going to be? So it's kind of a win-win situation. I think this is just a rare time as an Oiler fan where you just get to sit in absolute bliss. No worry, no anxiety. Just you get to see what comes and just to feel this comfortable. I don't know. This is a new experience for me as an Oilers fan. I don't know if anybody feels that, or maybe you're a fan of a different team where like, oh yeah, no, I know that feeling. We've been good for a while. This is new to me, and I really am just enjoying it. And I know that anxiety and that nervousness. Oh, you want to talk nervousness? Like, I had to give a eulogy. I had to give speeches. I had to do all these things that I had to play guitar in front of people. Like, all the things that should have been making me nervous, I was not that nervous for. But all goddamn day was I just like nervously vibrating for that game 7. And same with game 6. I was pretty nervous. I was just pacing, holes in the floor in front of my TV, waiting for the game to start and then waiting for that first goal to come. And it was just a really fun experience. I'm really enjoying being an Oilers fan right now. And as well, I'm really enjoying doing this Oilers Uncensored podcast, which I cannot plug enough. You guys need to check it out. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not, or if you know someone in your life that's an Oilers fan, or just is a fan of a couple goofballs making each other laugh. Like, it's awesome. I feel like I really struggle to brag about the Von Dubcast, even though I'm very proud of it. For some reason, this Oilers Uncensored, I'm just like, I'm shouting it from the rooftops. Like, this is the shit. People are going to love it. And I think that's such a cool experience when you get to say like, oh, I listened to this from the start. I wasn't, listening to it when it, once it got big and everyone is talking about it. If you've been on from the start, it's a much different feeling. You get to watch us grow and listen to us, get better and better along the way. And you can be a part of that growth, and some really exciting things coming. Also, I just want to throw a little plug out there for, Chase, because he's not going to do it for himself, but the golf season is in full swing. I just played 9 holes. My game's just unsavable, completely unsavable, but that's okay. I just, I go out there and I have fun. But if you do golf and you need lessons, Chase Rao is the best teacher you will find. Even if you've done lessons before and you hated it and it's maybe not for you, I tell you, try it again with Chase. And he can offer you the standard lessons, take you to the range, check out your swing, do that type of thing. But honestly, he's great at that. But where I think he excels and which is so much better for teaching and for learning is just line up and he'll go out for 18 holes with you, or 9 holes, or whatever you want to do, and you just golf, and you're gonna have a great time because he's a funny fucker, and you're gonna have you're gonna really enjoy the round of golf. You're also gonna learn, and you're gonna get taught things in a zero pressure situation. Here's a couple tips, take it or leave it, and it's gonna really give you something you can take home. And I think, just like I think the Oilers Uncensored podcast is something that you want to get on early, I think now, before he blows up and everyone's, knocking his door down in a couple summers from now where you can't book in, unless you got booked in the winter, I would say start it now. So if you're a golfer out there and you just want to, have a nice round of golf with someone that you might pick something up, or do like a range session, like I said, he can do anything, but I really think that's where he excels, and you're going to have a hell of a good time. And that's where I think, I took guitar lessons when I was young, and they were teaching me scales and teaching me all this, and I just despised it. And then when I picked up the guitar myself and started teaching myself and just learned songs and things I was excited about, it was such a different experience. I think that's what people think of golf lessons. I think everyone that has maybe done golf lessons probably has some horror stories in their head of just remembering back, like, oh, that really sucked. They messed with all my game. They messed with my grips. It felt awful, left a bad taste in my mouth. And you've kind of never gone back for lessons after that. This is so not going to be the case. I promise you that. And, that's just my little plug for Chase. So reach out to him on Instagram, reach out to the Von Dubcast. I'll put you in touch. We'll line it up. He's awesome at it. And I think you guys need to really take advantage of the skills he has to offer. So let's get him booked up. Let's get him slinging lessons like a mother humper all summer long. Let's get some more Oilers wins. Let's get a huge Calgary loss tonight. Let's go. Or a Calgary win. I don't give a fuck, because Oilers are going to stomp through their faces whoever is standing in front of them, like I said. All right, anything I forgot? Did I tell you guys to follow social media? I think I did. Oh, also with the new hire for the Von Dubcast, doing clips and such, if you want to come on and help with the Von Dubcast by, when you're listening to the episodes, either doing timestamping or, finding timestamps or things that you think make good clips, we now have someone that can go make those clips a reality, and we're going to start really ramping up the social media, because I know nothing about social media, but the guy that we're working with knows a ton, and I'm really excited about it. So we're going to start seeing that, maybe even a TikTok, which I've never once even seen what the app looks like. I've stayed away from it like it's the plague. And I know that's holding me back. So I think he's going to start a TikTok channel for it, which I'm excited about. Not to actually do any of the TikToking. Is that a thing? I don't know. But whatever verb you call doing the TikTok, that's what they're going to be doing. And I'm excited for it. And I'm hoping that it just blows this podcast up and everybody else gets to experience this amazingness that if you're listening to this, you've already found. So without further ado, here is Hunter Mouallem for his second time on the podcast. And we will see you this week with definitely some more Oilers Uncensored and maybe even some more Von Dumpcast, maybe another interview. I don't know, but it's going to be great. Okay. Bye. I love you guys. Enjoy the episode. Why am I whispering? I don't know. Bye. All right. Well, thanks for giving me even more of your time. I know I've already had you on once and had to get you back on again.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Of course. You dropped a little bit more music since we talked last. Hey.
Yeah, one more single.
Nice. How? I think I might have even asked you this on the first podcast, but I'm curious, like, how many do you think you go through of like songs? 'Cause in talking to you before the podcast, you're making music all the time.
Yeah.
How many do you think you make to like when you release?
Like in between?
Yeah, like do you make like 50 songs to release one, do you think, or like 100?
It's like, yeah, it's probably like I've got like 100 on my laptop just chilling, but I'll just find one that I feel like going at, so then I'll finish that one and then just have the rest in the background working on them too.
Right, and I think last time we talked about like a lot of like the mastering stuff and like a lot of the very end stage to make a song sound really good is like that's where the real that's what separates the amateurs from the guys that are getting good at it. And you were learning, I think, from some people that know the industry pretty good already. Have you started to pick up on some of that stuff where maybe like we were talking last, like have you added things into your toolbox and you're doing like more of that finishing stuff yourself now? Yeah,
a little bit. Like just I always watch YouTube videos. Like get some courses of professionals and just try and learn what I can. So it's definitely getting better that side of it. So I'm excited for that.
And like, do you keep like most of the I'm trying to find the right word for it, but like, do you decide just purely yourself on like which songs you think is going to go, or do you have like kind of a group of people that you trust that you kind of run through, and like does anyone else be like, hey, like you might not like this, but I think this song is the one, and like kind of give you that, and then you'll jump onto that? Do you have a group like that?
I usually like the first people I show are my family, but
yeah, of course,
it takes a long time before I even show them because I want it to sound perfect. They're always asking me like what can we hear, and I'm like, now you got to wait till it's like 100% done and I like it. So
yeah, that's tough.
Usually them, and then also my manager there in the States. I'll send him some demos and he'll give me feedback. So that's good.
Do you find like his expertise is probably super wide ranging? Do you find like a lot of what he helps you with is like on the music side about like what you're putting together, or like also the business side, like the industry? Like where do you think that breakdown of where he helps you?
I would say it's more kind of focused on the industry. Like most of the stuff that I'm making is kind of like based off of what I think is good and what I like. But he's taught me a lot about the industry so far.
I bet. Is it, how is that process of learning about the industry? Like, is that overwhelming at all? Because that's a pretty big piece of, it's a big thing to bite off is that industry. There's a lot to it, especially with how quickly it's changing. Yeah,
I still don't even understand it. So I'm just trying to do as best I can, just focusing on the music side. And I know that'll take care of itself.
For sure. And that was actually something I was going to ask you about, because it seems like, you just focus a lot on the music side, because even with a lot of like, there's so many musicians out there that are trying to make it, and you see different people take different tacks, where some guys, you can tell everyone has to put something into music, and it's hard sometimes to tell what it is, but it seems like half the time guys are more worried about their Instagram and putting out enough, stories and content and TikToks and all that stuff. And you seem pretty quiet on that front. Is that is that a conscious choice by you?
Yeah, it has been. I want to have good enough music to then go hard at it. So I started a little bit on TikTok. TikTok's crazy compared to Instagram. Like I post something on Instagram, like a reel or something, and get like 100 views. And I've started making some TikTok videos. One the other day got like 250,000 views.
Holy shit.
Yeah, people are asking like where to get tickets and shit like that. Yeah. So
that's awesome. How does that feel to start feeling, because like you talked about, you're focused so much on the music that, you're probably pretty deaf to that type of feedback. And then to have something like that break through, like those TikTok videos that go to that point, like what does that feel like?
It feels really good. I bet. Refreshing my phone like every minute. It was like 1,000, another 1,000. So it feels good for people to start recognizing a little bit
Yeah, because they don't see all the hundreds and thousands of hours that are going in behind the scenes in that studio at your parents' place. Yeah, hey? That's wicked. I love to hear that. That makes me happy.
Me too. That's
awesome. You know, and that's one of those things. Like it's similar with this podcast. As I'm not a big social media guy, never really have been, but I know that it's it's important that I should do that. And I've just been talking to someone lately and started making a TikTok account for the channel, because I refuse to download the app because I'm like, I get addicted to way too many things already. Yeah. I have just know if I get that thing on my phone, I'm going to be at least 3 weeks just catatonic in bed, just scrolling through it.
Yeah, I was really against TikTok too for probably like a year or two, but you see all these artists who are like brand new into the game and they're just blowing up. So, you can't really ignore it. It's too powerful. So
exactly. And that's exactly where I'm getting to too. And I just find that balance where, maybe I don't need to be the one to dive into it and get someone that knows a little bit about it too. Cause I also feel like I'm a bit intimidated because I've missed, TikTok's been around for a couple of years now. Yeah. I'm so far behind the curve. Like I wouldn't even know how to dive in too. So like, not only is it not wanting to, but it's also a little bit intimidating. You're quite a few years younger than me. It's probably a little less intimidating for you, but man, I never thought I'd feel this way. And then a couple of years pass and a new app comes out and then you feel like you're the old man already. It's a little bit different, but
it's a learning curve. Like even for me, like I don't know, all my friends and everyone, they seem to get it a lot quicker than me. It's just not really my thing, but it's becoming my thing. I have to
exactly. And I think it helps when you get a little bit of success with it. That helps make it your thing a little bit quicker when you see a little bit of the feedback. Hey,
it seems kind of silly making the videos, but then when something like that happens, it's like, okay, it's worth it.
Yeah. Okay, dog, you got to lay down on your bed. You flipped it upside down. Oh, it's a much better bed. Okay, I'll give you a cheat. You can be real good. You'll be real good for the rest of the podcast. Oh man, I love that dog, but she's so annoying on podcasts. She's just. She's getting confident in the old Slave Lake world here. I was telling you, she's starting to run into the neighbors' yards and stuff. First couple of days, she'd stick around, not get too far.
It's not as bad as my dogs. They run away every
Oh,
week.
Yeah? Every chance they can?
So, someone will call us. We found your dog. Just see them on Facebook or at Mr. Mike's somewhere.
Yeah, Mr. Mike's. Maybe they just like the steaks.
Maybe. They're also in the hotel, too. Maybe they're looking for a room.
Maybe. Oh, that's funny. So just kind of keeping your head down, getting a little bit into the TikTok space, it sounds like. But music being the main thing, do you find it easy to balance like the rest of the things that and obviously music is the main interest, so it's gonna take the predominant place there. But do you ever find yourself having to balance yourself out to keep friends, family, other interests intact, or do you like just kind of going deep into that, or does that come natural to you, or how does that work?
It comes pretty natural. It's not like I hang out with too many people. I have a small group of friends, and I can manage it pretty well. And they understand that this is my dream, so they're like, "Go for it, man! Don't worry about us. Like, there's plenty of time after. So
just don't forget us when you make it to the top." Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So I know I asked you the first time about that initial drop you did with like Hello, and then a couple other tunes, and then now with this latest one, has it changed now that you've had a little bit of experience dropping some music? Does it feel different with this latest one? Like, did you have more experience with it? Was it any different than the first couple ones you dropped?
The only thing I would say is different is now I know kind of how important TikTok is. So like before I drop music, I want to promote it to where there's a demand for it. Right. So as soon as I drop it, it's getting picked up by the algorithm, and people are adding it as soon as it comes out. Before it was just kind of like slow growth. I think TikTok and Instagram, whatever, helps promote it better and get an audience ready for it.
And how do you learn those lessons, just kind of trial and error type thing, or do you have anyone that kind of you lean on that has a bit of knowledge in that space to help you kind of figure out? Because those algorithms are hard to kind of nail down. They're changing all the time, right? And it's kind of one of those things where you have to invest some time, even if it's one of those things where it's not your thing necessarily. You kind of, like we said, kind of make it your thing. Do you have anyone that helps you out with that stuff?
No, it's just trial and error, and also YouTube. Like literally everything I learn is from YouTube. Yeah. So I'd search up like kind of to learn about the algorithm of TikTok, and every video pretty much says you should post like 2 to 3 times a day, which is a lot. But at the start I did that and it works. So now I'm slowing off because it's hard to make.
No shit.
That's
a
lot
of
videos,
content to have. Yeah. Especially with something like music, because if you're one of those like YouTube stars that's what they're doing, they're making all this stuff, they have all this content all the time. Music, especially like you say, you want it to be perfect. You don't want to be putting out clips and pieces of stuff that's in the workshop, or, you know, half finished, half done, you know, you kind of limits what you can do. Have you started to get creative on like what kind of stuff you're posting, or is it do you stick mostly to music? Or I probably should have downloaded TikTok and taken a look at it before, so I could ask you these questions.
Some is music, like I'll just do kind of like what's trending on the app, like there's trending sounds, or there's trending filters or stuff like that, and then I'll put my song in the background or something like that. Yeah. That's pretty much all I've been doing. But
you're not doing any of the dances yet?
No. But I just got it's one of these like 360 cameras. It's kind of cool. It makes a little like tiny planet. I can't really explain it. You've probably seen a video, but I've just seen a lot of or not artists, but other people do that with sounds in the background, and everyone I've seen is like thousands of views just because it looks cool. So I think I'm going to start doing that now too.
Dive into that. That's a lot to keep up with as well. You know, just like what the new trends is, and you can miss it in a hurry too. If you're a couple days late on it, probably. And what am I saying? I got no fucking clue. I'm guessing. I'm guessing you can. Oh, that's funny. So what else you got coming? What's exciting you most? You got lots of, you know, music that you're excited in the can that you're excited to release. Is it, you know, I know we were talking last time you did some cool performances down in Vegas and stuff. That was something that I don't know, to me was, you know, the older guy in the room, that's what seems cool to me, right? Like the live show aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm actually going back there May 11th. So
back to Vegas.
It's the same event, different venue, different acts.
Nice. And you're gonna be back there?
Yeah, I'm gonna be back, and there's 5 acts, and I'm the third one this time. I'm not opening straight away.
Nice. Working your middling, hey?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. What other acts are on there, or is it announced yet?
Yeah, it is announced. There's the Aquadolls. I think the other lady's name is Wow Show. She's a rapper. Yeah. And then Snoop Dogg and Travis Barker's back.
Come on, Snoop.
Yeah. Hope I get to meet him.
Oh shit, that's next level, man. That's next level. Even and Travis Barker, that he was there last year when you went too. Yeah.
I didn't meet him either though. Yeah.
Well, maybe this will be the year. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Maybe they only meet the middles. They don't meet the openers. Maybe this will be your year. That's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then are you doing, I know last time you did a bunch of like promo stuff. You did a little tour, kind of whirlwind tour while you're down there. Is that again what you're going to do this time?
I'm not too sure. Like that wasn't even planned when I went. So
yeah. Is that manager that you spoke about?
Like
he just kind of had some stuff lined up for you?
Threw it at me. He's like, you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, like give me whatever you got and I'll do it. So
I remember asking you about that last year, about like the live performance and some of those stuff, and you kind of said it didn't faze you too much. You felt ready to jump into it and just whatever they kind of threw at you.
Yeah.
Now you had a piece. Do you feel more comfortable if there's things to be thrown at you? You know, now that you had a little bit of taste of it, was it a matter of being less nervous because you didn't have time to be nervous, or how are you feeling going into this one?
I feel more excited. Like last time, I was kind of like dreading it, and just wanting to get it over with. Mm-hmm. But now that I've had time to process it and look at what I think I did wrong, what I can improve on, now I'm excited. And I also like just last weekend or something, I just like performed at Dom's in town. So that was probably even more scary because it's like with friends and people you know, and So I think that got me ready too.
For sure, and that's and like. I'm in my head, I'm equating it to comedy because that's what I'm a huge stand-up comedy guy, but they always talk about all the different types of like the big shows, the small shows, the different ones, the ones out in the boonies with 5 people on, and that's what kind of builds that confidence of having all these different types of shows. And that's kind of where I was going to take it, because if you're, you know, doing these big shows for, you know, Travis Barker and Snoop Dogg, it's a little different than the small shows, but it's good that you're starting to do that too. Yeah. How did that come together? Did you put that together? Someone asked you to do it?
Dom just came up to me because people, like my friends and other people knew I was there, and they were like asking me to go up and do a song. So I did. And
that's sick. I love that. Fuck, I would love to see that. Do you ever think about just doing like, you know, putting on small shows, right, in a little hall and slave and putting on a little show, maybe find someone else to open for you and put a little event on, or what?
Yeah, this summer, probably after this, I think I'll do that.
Nice. So if you need an MC to come out and get the crowd going, I got you. Right. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's so sick. I mean, and there's actually, you know, like even thinking about it, there's tons of talented Slave Lake musicians, right? Like you wouldn't think so, and then you actually take your head out of the sound, you look around, there's lots of really talented musicians around here. You could even put on like just a Slave Lake show, right? Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Make a little dough on the side, cash at the door, under the table.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure that's not the point. That's immediately where my head goes. I always think about that. Yeah. I always think about trying to do like a live podcast event too, like just find someone that would maybe draw a little bit of interest, maybe a bigger name, and do a maybe not 3-hour conversation in front of people that get a little restless in this town, I think, especially if we let them drink for it, but maybe an hour and a half or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It's just, those are big dreams, just, I think you're a little farther along. You could probably do that right now. I might need a little bit more of a push. Oh, that's awesome. It's a couple weeks going down there. That is wicked, man.
Yeah.
And then, so has that been kind of more of your focus? Have you been kind of getting ready for that, making sure that you focus on that, or is it still you're making new music all the time, even when you got big things on the horizon like that?
That's my focus, but yeah, I'm still always making music. But now, just my focus is like I've just been kind of practicing, like what I'm gonna say, what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna wear, like just getting everything ready.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. Do you ever do any like choreography stuff? Like, do you ever do like any? I mean, probably YouTube could services all that too, but
I don't really practice any like specific moves, but just kind of I'll set up like a mirror or my phone or something, just video it and watch it back, see
vibe out, see what looks good, see what looks shitty. Yeah. I'm never doing that move ever again. That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm just trying to like put myself in your shoes of getting up in front of that many people and like, fuck, I can't even,
It was scary, but after the first song, like, it just went by so quick. Like, it was like, I don't know. I just got up there and I was off, and it was like, oh wow, that wasn't too bad. So
it gives you a little bit of confidence that that's not going to be too bad. Yeah. Oh, that's so wicked though. I just love the confidence of that, and just to be able to go and like take that rush in. Like, how many people do you think it was?
I think they said it was around 800. 800?
Fuck, that's a lot of energy, hey?
Yeah, I think this one will be more though because it's in a club. So
oh shit,
little different.
And that's gonna be. So last time was outdoor, hey? Yeah, and that's a whole different show too. Just the way everything reverberates and the energy. They always talk about, again, this is comedy more than music, but translates a little bit of like the energy when they're outside, it kind of dissipates, but when it's enclosed into a space, it kind of comes back at you and magnifies. Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, you can feel the floor bumping.
Yeah.
People are right in front of you. They're not far away.
I mean, you kind of got a taste of that at Dom's. It's pretty close. It's pretty much the biggest club in Slave Lake.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Have you found in creating music, have you found that with the experience that how you go about it is changing? Like, are you starting, like, is it taking you less time to make a song, or is every song different? Maybe some go faster than others, and like, are you finding like it picks up? And then from that, are you just satisfied with like concentrate on the music to the degree where it doesn't matter how much volume you're putting out, you just want to put out like content? Or you find like it's speeding up and you're having more music that you're excited to share? I didn't ask that question very good, but you might be getting where I'm getting with. Like, is that picking up?
Kind of. So yeah, I haven't changed how I make music. It's always the same, but the outcome's not always the same. Like, I don't know how long a song's going to take when I start it. It might sit on my computer for 2 years or something, and then I'll do it. But I think to the end of your question, I don't want to drop like an album or like all at once. Like, I want to kind of spread it out. So like I can get as much content out of one song as I can, because it takes a lot of time. So if I was just to drop 10 songs and people listen for one day and then it's over, it's like I did how many thousand hours for that much of your attention. Right.
And do you think that's kind of more the way that music is going with like Spotify and that? Yeah,
it's definitely, unless you're Drake or someone who's huge. It's not,
and they kind of got started in that era, and it's kind of hard to change, and not hard to change, I shouldn't say, but just there's momentum to what you're doing. And you have a record label that expects that out of you, and you've done, I don't know how many records Drake's done. It seems like 10 billion, right? Like, it's kind of hard to say, well, maybe I'm going to do this differently now. You don't have as much say. Whereas if you get to start your career with you calling the shots, you can kind of dictate to them what you want to. Do you think if you ever got to a point where the demand was there, would you ever want to do an album? Like, if they came to you and said, "Hey, we want you to do one," would you feel like you'd want to push back and say, "Hey, that's
if fans wanted me to do it?" Then I would. But like I said, like, you need enough people to make it worthwhile.
Right.
Kind of
exactly.
Yeah.
Interesting. And do you have kind of an idea in your head? Like, I'm not going to ask you like what number, but do you have an idea of kind of what that looks like in terms of like what type of numbers respond to like different things, and like when you would change tack in your career, or do you just kind of go with the flow and expect that, you know, the managers of the world and that type of thing are going to kind of educate you on when to take those steps?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Like, I know though that Spotify and Apple and stuff like that, it's not like they're paying good. So like,
yeah, no shit.
Like, for reference, 1 million streams on Spotify is $4,000. So you need to be making, like, getting a lot of streams before I would want to put out a bunch of music. And nowadays, like TikTok and stuff like that, an artist will put out one song and they'll get a bunch of record labels calling them and trying to sign them just off of that, just because it's blowing up. So I think the way to go is still singles and just
roll with that until something predominant, like, says otherwise. Until something grabs you by the scruff of the neck and says, no, you got to change it.
Until there's enough people in my fan base. I don't think it's smart for me to drop all that music that I'm making by myself. It takes too much time.
And do you ever foresee, and like, again, not educated enough in this industry to really, you know, maybe ask this question the right way, but is there things you could do to like get help to like help speed up that process? Like, I would imagine it's probably pretty personal to you. You wouldn't really want that at that point, but do you ever see in like the future of like having people come on that you would trust to kind of help, you know, I don't know if I want to say like to do the grunt work part of the process. Like when I put it to podcasting, I would love to have someone that would, you know, come and do like the editing and help me with some of that stuff, but it's not part of the music, or it's not part of what makes the podcast special. That's like when the mics are on. I would never want to have someone come on and try and dictate to me how I did the actual recording part of the podcast, how the conversations are. But I don't know in music, is there anything that translates to that like people could come in and help with, or is it all so much in you that you have to do it?
No, I would like to have like some producers on my team, some engineers, stuff like that. Like that would definitely help me. Like I'd still be there to watch what they're doing and like give my inputs. But if someone else has more experience and I like what they do, then I'd want to work with them.
For sure. Okay, that makes sense. And that's just a process of, finding and probably too, like taste matching up and, you know, it sounds silly, but like vibes, you know, like you got to get along with the guy. They got to understand where you're coming from, so they're not coming in trying to, you know, put some country twang on or something.
Not going to happen,
Yeah. Let me come in there and put my cowboy boots through the record. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's awesome. Man. So, live shows, recording more music, releasing more music. Is there anything else that you see on like the horizon of like the industry, being a younger guy that can probably see it much clearer than I can? Is there anything that excites you, like other than that's coming, whether it's technology, whether it's, you know, trends that you are starting to foresee that makes you excited for the future?
One thing is kind of, I want to start live streaming like as I'm making a song.
Oh, cool.
I think that'd be cool.
Fire up Twitch while you're...
so that way you can kind of connect with your audience more. They can actually feel like they're part of it and even give me feedback like while I'm doing it. I think that'd be really cool. So I'm going to start that.
That's a really good idea. I love that.
Thanks.
Because you get the fan connection, right? And like I know from like experience with podcasts, when you're a part of building something, then you see like when I hear a comedian that has a small podcast and I really like it and stuff, and then eventually they have a special that comes out and you were part of growing, you got to see them grow that content. It feels so much more connected. It's so exciting. Like to imagine like being able to say like, oh, I when he found that hook or found that beat, like I was there in the chat, like I saw the chat blow up. Like, man, that's going to really change it. That is cool. That's a cool idea.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. And then on top of that too, it's probably like you say for feedback, because, you know, you see, you know, you're just cooking along and you put something up and then you see, you know, things go crazy. Everyone loses their mind. So it's like, oh, maybe I got something there because I don't know. I would imagine that when you're making music that much, you might get a little desensitized to some of the things. Like you probably like most of the stuff you're making. And then when you hear other people, kind of perk up, and that's a good way, because you don't want to have, you know, a bunch of hangers on in your studio with you, right? That's going to cause more distraction than anything. But when it's all in your control and it's just on a screen there, that's a great idea.
And it's good for content too. Like I'm going to be making music anyways. Might as well get something out of it.
That's a great idea. That's some easy TikToks for you. Hey,
exactly.
And then funny shit happens all the time too. And then now you have it documented, right? Yeah. So do you think in that studio space that I don't think we really talked about it on the last podcast. I think maybe after the podcast we talked and you showed me pictures. I think we might have talked about it on there and then you showed me pictures after.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have the space in there adequately to, you know, get a computer? You probably already have a computer now. I'm saying you probably have everything set up to start streaming right away.
I have. It's not too hard to start streaming. Like I could do that right now.
Yeah, you say that, and I've been trying to start streaming for I don't know, months now. I have actually in my parents' place in St. Albert. I have everything set up now. It's just me being a coward, not starting that. Yeah, because for all the same reasons, I want to start doing all that stuff too, right?
Yeah, like I'm not gonna stream off my computer. Like I just got this thing that I could do it like straight off my phone, and then it'll be like live streaming on. I'm gonna try TikTok because
there you go.
I don't know. I just feel like TikTok's the move right now.
Hey, if that's what's cooking, throw everything in the pot. Really, that's a great idea. TikTok has live streaming. Hey, interesting. Yeah. Well, maybe if this Von Dubcast TikTok that they're gonna make for me is gonna take off, I might have to start doing that too.
Yeah, podcasts are pretty big on TikTok too
really?
Right now. Yeah, they're huge.
Interesting. Yeah. That's good to know.
Get on there.
See, I'm old. I don't know these things. I just see all the dances. All the dances, man.
You could do a dancing podcast.
Hey, I'm a pretty good dancer. I've cut a few rugs in my day, Hunter. Yeah. Oh, man. I love dancing. I mean, anyone that listens to the podcast regularly hears me talk about this shit all the time. But like, I always loved dancing. When I was a kid, like I'd dance around the house all the time, just always was dancing. But I was always super self-conscious to dance, right? Like, would always need quite a few drinks before I get out there. I'd get out there, but it'd take me some liquid courage for sure. And then I went on this trip when I was 23. I went on this trip to Europe for a month, and I went by myself and I didn't know anybody. So I didn't really give a fuck. And I was still was drinking, but I didn't even need it. And I just, over that month of just dancing my face off, it changed me. Now I come back, like, I still like to, if I'm going to go dance, I would like a few drinks, but I don't need it. And I just like to dance all the time. And like, it sounds kind of hippy dippy, but I found it like was a huge change in me. Like just that, people don't think dancing means nothing to nobody, right? What are you in Footloose, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I found it was a huge change. And like, it's kind of funny to look at, there's a bunch like these, therapies that work with dance, like ecstatic dance therapy, where they just get people that are closed off and they just like get them in a room, just like move your body however you want it, and like just like force them to like get that release, and it really changes people. And I'm like, there must be something to it. And probably because these days we sit around a lot and don't move our bodies like we used to back a couple thousand years ago. Probably there's something to it. Yeah,
it's gotta be.
There's gotta be something to it. And like, that's probably cool for you to be able to to know that that's a big part of who we are as humans, and you get to create that thing that gets people dancing, gets people moving. Like, man, have you got to see like your song come on, like even just at like Dom's or something, like see people get up and like move to it yet, or is that something you still haven't got to feel that yet?
Not real. Like my friends will put it on around, just people I know, but not really. I'm waiting for the day it'll come on like the radio or someone in like a car next to me. I'll be playing it. Yeah, that'll be cool.
I love that. One of the a girl that I went to university with, she lived in Lister Hall when I was there, and she's an amazing musician. She's very, very talented, and she released a video, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks, might have been a couple months ago, of hearing her single on the radio for the first time, maybe in like a restaurant in her car, and just like the emotion was like, holy man, just watching it was like, wow. When you see that, like that you got some cool experiences ahead of you. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
The one time I guess was last time in Vegas, like I was doing that the interview with those guys, and at the end of it my song just came on randomly, and all those people were in there and they were like taking pictures of us at the end. It felt pretty cool. So that was probably the coolest time.
Oh, that's awesome. And there's gonna be so many more. Right? You're just at the start of it, and I just love that you're so focused on like the music side of it, not knowing that those things are out there, but not focusing on them, and just, like, if I focus on the music, that's what's going to bring those things to me. If I focus on those things, then the music's going to suffer. And I was so not surprised. Surprised is the wrong word, because I wasn't surprised at all. I know your family. This seemed par for the course, but just the maturity that you had the first time we talked to already be aware of those things, right? Like do you think that was always innate in you, or do you think that was just like, growing up with a good family? Like, where do you think that comes from to have such a good...
What was what?
Like, you have such a good head on your shoulders to know where to concentrate, like what's important, like the music, and to not get caught up in the things that are so tempting, like just with human nature, like the flashy stuff, the bells and whistles, the thing that make you feel good, right? Like probably like the feeling you got when TikTok was blowing up and you're refreshing every time, like that is so tempting to just focus on that. And guys will, tailor everything they're doing to get more of that, because it's almost like a drug. It's a dopamine hit, right? And you seemed so conscious of that the first time we talked, and so focused on like, I can't let that be my focus. The music has to be my focus. Like, that is surprising to me for someone of your age. Again, not surprising because I know where you come from, but I'm just curious. But some guys are just born with that. Do you think that was like always in you, or do you think that was something that you learned? Is there someone in your life that you think you learned that from, or?
Probably a bit of both. Like me and my parents. Like I know what's right and what's not. So like like you said, but like TikTok, that part of it, like that's kind of needed to do what I want to do. But what I want to do is I don't really care about that. But I just want to make good music and put out a good message and just be me.
So do those two things go hand in hand, or do you think you have to think of those two things different? Like the good music and a good message, like is that all together, or do you think you have to think of those two separately as like, you know, I want to put out good music and then in my day-to-day life be a good person, put out a good message, or like you trying to put the message through the music? Like how do you think that shakes out?
I don't know. I just make like
you just be who you are pretty much.
Yeah, it's not like I have to really try to act like it's I'm making a good message. It's just kind of what comes out. Like I'm not going to be rapping about you know, gangs and drugs, drive-bys, stuff like that.
I mean, you could, but it might come off a little.
Might blow up quicker, but it's not me, so I'm not going to do it.
Right, and that's what I'm talking about. Like to realize that, like so many people go 5-10 years of trying that shit to realize, oh, that's not working, right? And they have to make all those mistakes and burn so much time.
There's 100 people doing, thousands of people doing that already. No one's authentic. So
yeah. What do you? I mean, I know a little bit from like what the songs you've released so far, but like, you know, I've only got to hear how many songs have you released now? 6, 5,
4.
4.
Yeah, 4.
Right. So like, of those, I kind of see, but that's probably a small percentage. Like you say, you got hundreds sitting in the can. Like, do you have an idea yet, or is it still kind of evolving of like what type of things you want to talk about? Or is it different on the day? Like, are you starting to see the overall picture of kind of where you think you're going to go? And like I said, I think that's probably at every age that's going to grow. Just like you hear guys like Drake, he doesn't probably rap about the same shit he does now that he did 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's always different. I don't know, just whatever I'm feeling.
Yeah, on that day.
At the time,
Yeah. Do you ever find that like different, like, what's the word? Like, I don't know, like emotional states, or like, do you find like certain things get you really cooking with music? Like, is it, you know, some people, you know, like Taylor Swift, when she has a breakup, for some reason that makes her make music, but then some people need to be in a really good headspace, really happy. Like, have you started to tap into what types of things really get your juices flowing on that?
So far, all I can tell is when I'm in like a good head state, that's just when I make the best music. When I'm not, it's just like I don't even want to do it. It's too much shit going on. Like I got to do this and this. It just seems like too much work. So I like to be in a good headspace, and to do that, like to stay in a good headspace, I usually meditate like every morning, every night.
Yeah. And what kind of meditation do you like to do?
I just do like manifestation meditations, just attracting positive energy, and I don't know, it seems to keep me pretty positive.
Again, this is probably something if people listen to a lot of, I mean, they probably had rolled their eyes as soon as you said the word meditation, because I'm such a big meditation guy, right? Like it really changed my life, and I notice how much when I get off of my meditation, how noticeable it is in my day-to-day life. And it's kind of silly how much I know that and how little I act on it. You know, like when I'm if I'm having a bad couple days or something, I know that like meditation is going to help this, and still learning those lessons of actually sitting my ass down to do it. Right. Like this week's I've been doing lots of podcasts this week, so I've been a little bit better on it, and probably did more meditation this week than I have in the last while. But I know when I'm at my best, I'm doing it every day. Yeah. Right? And it's on a schedule. So that's awesome to hear that, you know, morning and night, you know what you need to do. Do you have any other tools that fall into that same thing that is for your headspace, or just kind of other than that is just, you know, being around the good people that make you feel that way?
I just think, like tell myself the things that I need to hear, like positive stuff. Like I'm not telling myself I suck at this. I wish I was somewhere I'm not yet. Like I say, it's coming, and just like I tell myself to keep working hard. So. And
do you recognize how rare that is for someone of your age to have that? Of like, that's the wisdom of a 50-year-old. I am terrible at that. Like I talk all this shit on the podcast about being positive and stuff, and still I find myself with negative self-talk all the time. Like that's hard to get around. Like, do you realize how rare that is that you have that? Like, man, that's impressive, man. That's really impressive. Like, again, I can take a few guesses at, you know, where that stuff comes from. And, you know, just even talking to your dad on the phone the other day, you know, that guy's a pretty inspirational guy too. And like to have him in your corner is probably pretty special, because, you know, not that I was having a real down, I was having a pretty good week, but, you know, he asked the questions to get to it, you know, like he has this ability to ask in a couple questions, really get down to the core of what's going on in your life. And I'm a pretty honest guy, so I told him. And then when I did, he just had everything I needed to hear with just enough kick in the ass to I was just like, man, I gotta call Joey more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, I'm really excited to sit down with him on Sunday, because he's a pretty impressive guy that has done a lot of impressive things and has a lot to give and a lot to share. And I'm sure you realize, what a huge resource that is.
Yeah.
Do you lean on that pretty heavily?
Yep, all the time. I'm really thankful for him and everyone in my family.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And even, Tanner's so goddamn musical too.
Yeah.
Like, that is a huge boon to have.
Yeah,
eh?
I learned a lot from him too.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Do you guys ever, jam around? Like, do you play any instruments too, or are you more?
I used to. Like, I started kind of with the drums, and he taught me that, and then a little bit of the guitar when my mom showed me. But we've kind of worked on some songs. I think it'd be cool to release some stuff with him.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I just want to release some more of my own stuff, and then
for sure, and that's kind of what you got to concentrate on, especially at the start.
Yeah, for sure, I want to do some stuff with him.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's crazy. He's got some great ideas.
Yeah, and I remember being at Dom's one night, and he was up there playing, and he was just trying to get me to go out and play something. I was just, you have got the wrong guy. There's no way I can get up in front of these people. Like, I might seem confident, but I'm a scared little child inside. Like, but even still, it felt so good that he was trying, and like, to know that, like, even though I didn't take him up on it and I was too scared to do it, it was just like, oh, that feels awesome that he, like, he's busy. He's trying to, he's got a job to do up there, and, just that he'd take the time out of his night to, try and pull me into that and get me to experience that. I just love it. Yeah. No, I love your whole family. They're great people. Great people.
They are.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, this might be even a silly question, because I know what's keeping you busy. It's music, but outside of that, and I know last time you just said, like, you have a, core group of friends, but anything keeping you and your friends busy? You guys watching movies, hanging out, just making more music, listening to music, sitting on TikTok, watching videos? What are you guys up to?
No, not much, honestly. Like, 99% of my focus is on that.
On
like,
the music, yeah.
On an odd day, I'll hang out with a friend, or I don't even watch like Netflix anymore.
Yeah.
I used to play video games quite often. Not really anymore. It's just like
you're all in.
All in.
Man. And again, like, that sounds like something that people get to after 10 years of struggling and not understanding why this isn't failing, until they get to that point to where they go all in and you're already doing it. Like, that is just speaks volumes for what I think you got on the horizon for the things coming up.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, geez, you just do music all the time, and I don't know all that much about music. What do you think would surprise guys like me, like, about the music process? Like, what do you find because people probably talk to you about this stuff all the time, and there are probably guys like me that don't really know all that much about it. What do you think people get wrong all the time, that, like, when they talk to you and they make assumptions about what it's like to make music, what do you think they go wrong with? Probably,
like, the biggest assumption I see that's always wrong is it's stupid, but like auto-tune. People think auto-tune's like obviously there's some people like Travis Scott, or it's like you noticeably can T-Pain created it basically. Yeah. You could tell, but a lot of people think like if you use auto-tune you're like a shitty artist, or like I use it, but everybody uses it, and it's just like, it's little, but it's like if you didn't, you'd definitely tell. Like, everyone definitely uses it. Yeah. And everyone just, thinks that's the be all end all. Yeah. But that's also human nature when that's the one thing right? That's the one word that's the one buzzword you can use, right? Everyone pulls that out. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's not even a valid argument anymore. It's like everyone's using it, even if you don't know. And there's probably it's probably just like everything else. You can like do a little bit of auto-tune, or you can crank it right up T-Pain style, and you can make yourself. But then, I don't know. I'm a big fan of T-Pain. I like that. I like that. Yeah. I like that sound, right? Like, man, like, I have a whole shit ton of T-Pain music on my phone, and that shit gets me moving. Exactly, I'm all about it, right? Like, it's all about use case, and does it sound good? Like, it's so funny how many people get caught up in like all the little things, like, especially with music. For me, it's like, people are like, what kind of music do you like? It's like, I don't think there's a type of music I don't like. I just like good music of it, right? Like, I love country, but not all country, and I'm pretty picky with it. Like, I like good country, I like, EDM. I like, rock. I like some pretty heavy metal shit. Like, I used to play hockey, and but it's got to be the good part of it. I'm not going to put any labels on it. And I just find that so silly when people will close themselves off to like whole genres. Right? It's the same idea of the auto-tune thing. It's just like, you're making judgments that are doing nothing but limiting yourself and your own enjoyment. Yeah. It blows my mind. I know. Blows my mind. But I guess that's just human nature. Yeah. That's what people do, right? Yeah. Yeah. It pulls them into that. So something we were kind of
talking about before the podcast was, like studio space and how expensive that is and how awesome it is that you have that up at your place where you have your own studio and you can go in there every day. And with the way you make music is kind of doing everything at the same time. And you're saying that most people, if you don't have that and you have to pay that $60 an hour to get in the studio, you really have to have everything kind of well prepared and well laid out by the time you get there. How much do you think that restricts like some artists from really realizing how the best way for them to make music is, of like having to be dependent on that now that you have do you think that is a real step up that you have to be able to record whenever you want in your own studio like that? Or do you think like most people eventually get there, it's going to take them more time to figure that out?
I don't know. It's different for everyone. Like I've heard some artists say they like that way because they're prepared when they go there and they know what they're going to do, and they're, it's more organized that way. My way is not organized at all. It's just like whatever I'm doing is random, but I don't know. For me, I don't think that way would be good, just because it's not as, I don't know.
Free-flowing?
It's kind of just like they have an agenda every time they go, so that it's kind of, they know what's going to happen already. I like when I don't know what's going to happen and something cool happens, I accidentally press a button or something like that. But
And that's like when I go back to you streaming it too, of like those accidental moments where cool shit happens to have like documented, and then you can, make a, if you're streaming on TikTok, like make an actual TikTok video to like release of that that cool moment that then becomes the hook to the next song or whatever it is. I'm using all these words like hook, not even know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Like one example is like you know that song Mo Bamba by Sheck West. You know the part where the beat cuts out and he goes like, oh fuck shit bitch, like that part. They were doing a Genius interview, and they were saying like their computer crashed when that happened, so that's why the beat went out. And then he was saying like, oh, he's swearing because he was mad that it went out, and that was like the biggest song of whenever that was. And,
that's awesome.
It's just little things like
and
that.
There's probably
that people
so much of that stuff that people have no idea.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. And do you find yourself listening to music all the time too? Like when you're not creating, you're always like taking in music for inspiration, or is that like something you try and keep your head free of, like before you're recording? Like how do you work in like the listening of music, like into your creative process, if you will?
I listen to quite a bit of music, but I don't try to draw from it too much, because then I feel like I might be copying. But I listen to a lot of music as well.
Do you? Like, is that a conscious thing that you try and separate? Like, because that's what I was thinking, like, again, going back to comedy, is so many comedians talk about not listening to comedy because they don't want, and that's different because comedic takes is different than like melodies and stuff, but it'd be hard to, because music, you kind of just gotta let yourself fully let go and enjoy the music to really, experience what it is that that artist is trying to put forth into the world. But if you're thinking like, oh, I want to stay conscious that I'm not taking on this, or is that just like when you step into the studio, you try and step away from that? Or do you think, here's maybe a way to ask the question, as you get deeper and deeper into this journey of creating your own music, has the way you enjoy and listen to music changed?
Yeah, a little bit. Like I'll notice kind of more about like on the production side, I'm trying to think like what they were thinking when they did that, or if I hear something.
Was that an accident?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What about like watching live performances stuff too? Like, is now that you've been on that stage and that, like, has that changed how you watch it? And then maybe that'll come when you've done more of the live performing. But has that changed already?
Well, last 2 weekends, like Coachella was happening, so I was watching like the live streams of all those performers. So I've just been kind of seeing what they do and seeing kind of relating it to what I can do and how I think I could make my sets like that in my own way, but take from like for example, like The Weeknd. I was just watching him the other weekend, and
my dad's favorite.
Yeah, me too. He's probably my favorite right now. So I just think he's a great performer, and I want to channel some of that. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's channeling some of that, right? Like you don't want to take anything. You don't want to, but you gotta. That's the thing. That's everyone gets so caught up in like, oh, are you copying and all that? And it's like everybody's copying someone, right? Like that was, I think, a big thing. Less for myself because, I almost took it as a badge of honor, but like, I think for people that were trying to give me feedback on this podcast, like, oh, are you worried you're too much like Joe Rogan or too much like this? And I'm like, yeah, but that's what I enjoy. And like, obviously that's going to come through, and I'm planning on doing this for a long time. And eventually I'm going to find my own sound. And if that's what I need to get started to get into it, there's worse guys to copy, right? Like for you, like, oh, yeah, when I get on stage, I have, maybe I look a little bit like The Weeknd. Could be worse. Yeah. Could be worse. And like also, if I'm so concerned about copying other people that I just don't get up there because everything I think to do is some form of someone else, then you never get up there and you'll never get to the point where you figure out your own sound and your own movement, your own style.
I think it's good to copy people at the start. Like before I even released music, I would just kind of copy like production styles or stuff like that. But I think I kind of found something that's more unique than that. So
who is like in terms of production styles, because that's where like for me I would have no idea. Like I enjoy music, but I would never think of like the production style of something.
Like who I think mine is like,
or even at the start, like who did you emulate when you were first getting started?
I probably just at the start, like I was making more like rap beats, like Drake, and stuff like that. But then it kind of went more over to like I don't know if you know Dominic Fike. I don't think I do. He's a pop singer, but I'd say now my style's kind of like that in a way. So
it's kind of more for you to get to watch it. Yeah. And I think that's a cool idea of like watching it morph, and you're going to have like different tastes, and then eventually, not even eventually, because it's always going to be like some sort of spectrum of it. You're going to become where your individual sound outweighs all those things to the point where, like it's harder and harder to pick out which pieces are right. Like my favorite artist of all time is John Mayer. I'm a huge John Mayer, like diehard. And it's funny, like when you listen to like his guitar style, like Stevie Ray Vaughan was a huge influence of his, which is like an old blues guy, and he's like an amazing guitar player, and you could really hear it. And then you still can in some of his music, but he's gotten so far past with his abilities and what he does that it's so John Mayer, you barely hear, and you can still hear the echoes of it, right? Like there'll be a lick every once in a while that's very Stevie Ray Vaughan, and he has a bunch of other influences too that are, very apparent, but that's the one that I always think of, right? I think it's because I'm also a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan. That's like what I hear in it, but it's kind of cool to watch. But that took, John Mayer's been doing music since he's a kid, and he's, in his 40s now. That takes, 25 years to get to that point where those echoes become more echoes and less, front and center. Yeah. But it's not like he was making bad music at the start like that. Some of his, Stevie Ray Vaughan heavy shit is my favorite stuff, right? Like, it's cool. It's cool. I also kind of find it interesting, the idea of this I got from MMA and MMA fighting, because it's so new. You get to see like every year the level is so crazy. Like if you took the best fighters of 2008 and put them against like even the middling fighters of 2022, it wouldn't even be close. Yeah. And it's very apparent in that, but now I've kind of started to look at that and you can apply it to other things. And I think that's the same, like the way John Mayer plays guitar, like he's one of the most insane guitar players of all time. I don't think a lot of people think of him like that because he's more, a pop guy, and they always think of him just, like a sex symbol or whatever it is, and they don't realize he's actually like a gnarly guitar player. But when you compare him to like the greats of the other age, it's like, I don't know, it seems, I always felt bad because, you don't want to get in an argument. It's a tough life being a John Mayer fan, having to fight for him in front of you because he's got such an idea of who he is. But to say like, I think he's better than some of those old greats, I'm almost thinking like, man, that makes sense. Like with the new technology and the new abilities, and you're building off the shoulders of giants, of these amazing guys of the past, and you're adding to it and you're building on it. Does that excite you to know that like you have this wealth of, you have YouTube in your back pocket to learn all these things? Like you're just getting started, but the highs that you can achieve are probably, by the time you're achieving them, nobody else in the world could have done like what you're going to do. Does that, like, have you ever thought of that? Yeah, like, does that excite you?
It excites me to see how I can kind of like my music's going to evolve, and I'm excited to see where it's going to end up.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. And like I think about like with this podcast, like it's a bit of the same way, but I don't know. I feel like I don't think it's going to change that much. And it's different with music. It's like just talking is who you are, right? Like finding a musical sound is a skill, whereas this is just I've been conversating with people since I was a kid, right? Like I know kind of how I do that. So I don't think it's going to change that much, but it will change. Like it is a bit exciting, but with music, you could be making, in 20 years, you could be making completely different music than what you're making now.
Yeah, I've
never thought of that. Yeah. Almost guaranteed you will.
I'm already like the music now that I'm making is already changing. Like it's not nothing. I don't want anything to sound the same as the other song. Like I want it to sound kind of consistent, but not, like a complete copy. So I'm trying to branch off as much as I can too.
Do you ever, and this might be, shooting a little bit far into the future, but like when you said The Weeknd, the first thing that popped into my mind was his Super Bowl show, where he like puts on this crazy production, and probably his coach. I didn't see his Coachella, but I imagine his Coachella, maybe not to the same degree as a Super Bowl halftime show, but probably was pretty unique and, pretty identifiable to him and what he brought forward. Do you ever find yourself like fantasizing about like when you have it, like what kind of shows you want to put on and like those type of things? Because like that's a cool part of music that maybe, no, I guess that's been around a long time. There's some pretty, I did a podcast with George Kellum the other day, local Slave Lake legend, and he was talking about, I think in the 70s being in London and Pink Floyd putting on these shows like in the streets of London with mirrors set up and lasers. So I guess this is not a new phenomenon that people have been putting on some pretty cool shows, but like just the idea of what you can do today and like what you're going to be able to do. Do you ever start fantasizing about that type of stuff? What kind of shows you can put on?
Yeah, I imagine it a lot. So
yeah.
That, but also like right now is kind of, I'm thinking about like music videos, like cool ideas for that. Right, I want to start doing some neat stuff.
Have you done any music videos so far?
I haven't. Like we kind of shot like a rough one in Vegas, but it wasn't like, it was just all in the same room, just kind of.
Right.
Yeah. So I want to do some cool stuff.
Got anything? Got any plans on the horizon to dip your toes in that water for the first time? Maybe not the first time. It sounds like you did, but like in the real way that you're imagining it in your head. Do you have anything kind of on the horizon? Or?
Yeah, I want to. I've heard of some video directors in Edmonton.
Oh, cool.
And I've seen some of their work, and they're working with some artists there, and I think that's really cool. So I want to work with them, and then I think it'd also be cool to just capture as much as I can on my own, kind of edit it.
Yeah.
That'd be cool too.
Yeah.
I like doing as much I can by myself.
Right. Because then you get your fingerprints is on it as securely and deeply as you can when you're doing as much of it as you can yourself, eh? But then when you find those, the directors and do it, the guys that do it for a living in Edmonton, like you say, they can really take it to that next level. So you kind of got to find that balance between making sure your fingerprints on it's what you want, but you have that expertise of those types of guys. Oh man, I'm looking forward to that. I'd love to
me too.
Watch some music videos of you. Do you have an idea of kind of like what your style would be? And I mean, music videos, it's hard to even say style because I guess from what I've seen in music videos, they're so different one to the next. You don't really have a real style of what kind of music videos. Maybe some guys do. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but like, do you think about it more in like particular songs that you have, like kind of what kind of music videos, or do you have an idea in your head of what kind of music videos you'd like to make?
Yeah. It's different for every song. I kind of think of my songs when I'm making them like I'm imagining what the setting would be like. So it's like, yeah. So cool. I kind of already have like ideas sort of. It's not like I know where I want to be but like I know the feeling and kind of sort of some places maybe, but it's all rough. But like, I think if I sat down and with a director, I think
they could make that come to life. You have enough meat on the bone to give to them and let them run with it, that you can get something cool enough to put onto film.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a cool idea. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, the visual aspect of creating music. So is that, man, that's got my mind racing. So like, even, is that like, is that always going on even when you're like in the rough process or anything, or does that start kicking in when you start like doing like the more finishing aspects, the mastering of it, like when it's really starting to come together? Is that when like kind of the visual stuff starts coming in your mind, or does it always happen?
Always kind of at the end, like in the middle when it's all choppy and stuff like that. You can't really imagine it or be a broken music video.
Yeah,
so.
no shit. That makes a lot of sense. Do you so I know you have a lot of songs kind of in the can that are sitting there, more or less ready to go. Probably everyone's at a different level. Do you find like you like keep working on those and then a new one comes and you kind of run it all the way to the finish and that's like one that gets released? Or do you kind of go back and then pull one out and finish it out and release that? Like, I'm curious, the next song, here's maybe a way to ask this question. The next song that you are going to release, if you had to guess, do you think it's something that you haven't even started to think of yet that's going to pop into your head and you're going to take it to the finish line? Or do you think it'd be one that you already have cooking and you're just going to take it and finish it and get it to that end point?
The next one will probably be one that I'm already working on.
Yeah.
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 The reason though that I have so many is I just want everyone to be better than the last one.
Right.
But that's kind of good because then I'll go back to even the old ones and they're still good. But then, it just keeps growing. Like
And your skill set's probably growing so much. You can do things to those songs that you couldn't at the time that you made them, right?
I'll go back and do something that I just learned from this new song, or
oh, that's awesome. That's a really cool it's a really cool aspect of it that I don't think, unless you're that deep into the music, that you wouldn't really think of, right? Yeah. And that's where it's an added benefit of how much hustle you're putting into it, of getting, you know, to grow your library of content to work on and your skill set at the same time at that rate where you're just pushing and pushing. It's really going to come together and have you in a better spot. So then, like, if you could put a percentage on, like, how much from the time maybe we spoke last, I think it was like August of last year till now, like, do you think you've gotten like 20% better? Is it like 100, 200% better? Like, how noticeable is it? Like, the comfortability level. I think I kind of tried to ask that in earlier in the terms of like how fast it goes, but I think that was the wrong way to ask it. But like, just in how you feel you're getting better. Like, is it a fast process where you feel like you're gaining all the time and you're getting a ton better all the time, or is it kind of slower where you're just slowly adding pieces on? Or
I wouldn't say the process is faster. It's just more polished. Like, I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
I'm not searching YouTube videos as much on how to do this or this.
That's
it's kind of like I've got my system now. So
that's funny, because like when I think of I was working with what my dad does, you know, Max Fuels up in Grand Prairie. And at the start, when I first got in there in that role, I was so over my head and had no idea what I was doing, but I was just, there was so much going on and so much to handle that. In the first couple months, I was calling my dad probably like 4 times a day on like big things, like big decisions on how to make it. And it's like, it's not like over the 4 years I did it, the gravity of the decisions I was making was changing at all. But just like you say, the not having to double check and just the comfortability of just making those decisions, not having like where you have to go watch a YouTube video. Mine would be, you know, calling and go like, and 90% of the time I knew what I needed to do. I just had to run it by and make sure, double check, right? I'm not fucking this up now, right? Type of thing. And that was probably the biggest change from it, is just to know, like, just to make those calls, have that comfortability with it. And that sounds like that might be way more applicable to many facets of life than it was just to that, what I was feeling at the time. Cause I now see that come up in a lot of stuff, just that comfortability and all the things that come with it.
Yeah, like even at the start, like I wasn't even comfortable hearing my own voice. I just like, cringe at myself.
That's a big thing to get over.
So yeah, now it's just kind of normal. And another one was like, whenever people would play my songs around me, I'd just be like, shut that off.
Yeah,
like,
I know. That's me. If I hop into my dad's truck and he's listening to podcasts, I'm like, turn that shit off. I do not want to hear. Yeah, I still got to get over that. But I think with what you're doing, you know, the how quickly you're going to get over that is faster, because you kind of are forced into listening to the music, right? You kind of have to get better and to work on it. Whereas I can kind of hide from it. I don't know how, once these podcasts go out, I just, you know, it's out in the ether. I hope people like it. Yeah. I think you will. I had a great time recording. So I always think, you know, you probably have a good time listening to it, but I can kind of hide from it. And I think I probably, if I want to take that next step, I'm going to have to start forcing myself to listen back and to, you know, I think the thing that I struggle with more is not even like the sound of my voice. I think that's always going to kind of bug a guy to a certain degree, but you get over it.
Yeah.
For me, it's always with these conversations, when I listen back to it, I know what I'm trying to say, because like even a couple times I've tried to ask you a question and I'm just trying to, like, I have the question of what I want to ask in my head, but then to try and assemble a string of words in a line to get that intent across is tough. And then when I listen back to it, I'm like, I listen to it in the moment, and I know exactly what I'm trying to say, and I'm just listening to myself struggle in the moment to ask this question. I'm like, oh, this is the worst. You know what I mean? But that's just
I'm
coming
like that with songs too. I'm like, I wish I said this instead of this. I wish I played these chords instead of this. But
how much of like the actual musical theory goes into it? Of like,
I know nothing. I know zero.
Okay,
like, pretty much zero musical theory. It's just all by ear. Like all
by ear. Wow. Yeah, because I play guitar and I noodle around, but like, I literally just go on, you know, ultimateguitar.com and look at the chords, and then I mess around with it. And like, I've gotten to the point where I'm a little bit better at it now. So I'm not just playing, you know, like I used to at the start, just like basics drum patterns with just playing the chord, then switch. Like I do a little bit of hammer on hammer. I have no idea what I do or how I do it or what key or chords or anything. I don't even know what half that shit means. Right. But like, it goes by ear, but like, I would imagine. So do you ever find when you're does that hold you back at all when you're getting into those spaces where those people that's the language they speak is all those music jargon shit, like when you're doing like the mastering and stuff, or do you find that you can get by with your vocabulary of how you see it to convey to them what you want and like what you're looking for?
Like which people?
Like I'm assuming like last time I think we talked about like when you're working with someone that's like mastering a song and working with that, or like if you were to get into like a studio with like a producer and they're talking and like, oh, can you try that in a key of C or something? You know, like
I've never ran into that yet. So
right.
like when that guy mastered my 2 tracks, like I just sent him the songs and he mastered it. Like there's no musical theory really there. Right. It's just kind of like that's all. Like that guy, I'm sure he knows musical theory, but it's all by ear mastering
for sure.
And that takes a long time to learn that.
And even in asking that question, like my own answer to my own question would be like, if these guys are that good and have been doing it this long, I'm sure they've come across people that don't have the musical theory vocabulary. I'm
pretty sure like not most, but lots of big artists, they don't even know, like
for sure.
Most of them don't even produce their own stuff. So
guaranteed. Yeah. Yeah. And, I would say, big majority, like unless there's I'm sure certain types, like maybe people that do like more classical type of music might have a little bit higher degree of people that know, but
like definitely not rappers. Like
not at all.
If you're telling me Kodak Black or someone that, like knows.
Man, I just recently, like, I always hear the music, but it all blends to me because it's, certain songs will stick out like, oh, I really like the sound of that song. But hearing him on that Caleb Presley interview.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh my God. And then just kind of like, oh my God, this guy's hilarious, and going into like deeper of who this guy's fucking hilarious, man. I'm like, oh, just like shit like that is so awesome to just, it's a lane so far away from like all like where I would normally be, and you find in there just like, man, I love this guy. Like I ride hard for Kodak Black now, and I had no idea who this guy was, but he's just a funny fucking dude that seems super genuine, right? Like, oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's funny. I bet you there is like 1 or 2 rappers out there though that like are that guy that are super like into the musical theory, and I wonder who that would be.
There definitely are.
For sure, there's got to be some guys out there, but like I
would say Kanye is.
Oh, for sure, yeah, he's
definitely
man.
Big producer.
He's another guy because like I liked his music, like his graduation stuff, like I like that. But since then, I haven't really like I didn't listen to really Dawned or nothing. I listened to it when it first came out just because it was such a cultural thing, but it didn't suck me in by any means. Like wasn't really for me, but. What got me was when he went on Joe Rogan, I got to see who he was.
Yeah,
like, and so many people were clowning him after that interview and saying like, oh, this guy's crazy. And I'm like, man, I was blown away by him. Like, yeah, he's crazy, but he's fucking genius. But beneath that, like, if you go into it with no expectations of just like, I just want to like, I think people, if you go into it thinking this guy's crazy and I'm about to watch an interview of him being crazy, you have that mindset in like,
it'll look crazy. Yeah.
It'll look crazy. And I just kind of went in, I'm like, I have no clue what this is going to be like. I just, I love Joe Rogan. I love any guest he has on. This is going to be awesome. I get to see Kanye.
Yeah, he just has a weird way of communicating it.
But his ideas like are outside of the box for sure, but they're not bad. Yeah. And like you can see the like logical leaps that he gets to behind are truly fascinating. And like, man, you need guys like him that think that out of the box.
Yeah.
Man. And like understanding that, and then to hear how people who really enjoy his music that's their lane talk about him, it's like, oh yeah, I see exactly what you're talking about. Like, yeah, this guy is, like the biggest genius of our generation. Might be a bit much, but like musically, oh yeah, for sure. Like his fashion, the Yeezys are all okay. I'm not a big Yeezy guy, but like some of that shit he puts out, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe the music is his main thing, but like some of his ideas, even on like culture and like politics, it's like, yeah, there's some knowledge that you lack that would poke holes in that. But like, if you put that aside and just say, yeah, like obviously he's trying to go into a lane that he doesn't know a ton about, and you just look at the ideas for himself, like it's pretty clever, right? If you could make that work, or if you had people that were experts in that area that could, plug up those holes that he kind of overlooked, and you could get the framework of his ideas, they're pretty revolutionary, right? Like, man, that was awesome. Like, and that's really cool. Like, maybe I can, instead of just talking at you like I am, maybe I can put this into a question. Like, just stuff like that excite you, like to see like the Kodak Blacks with those type of images, Kanye West going on that. Like, I know you want your music to speak for itself, right? And that's very clear by how you're moving forward right now and the things you're putting into place. But does that excite you that in this world there's becoming more and more ways for who you are and like your ideas and your just everything behind the music to come forward. Does that excite you? Is that something maybe you think you'll ever dive into? Is that something you want to shy away from and just always let the music speak for itself? Or how do you think on that? I guess you're doing a podcast right now, so it's a little bit of that already, but
yeah, I think the music will just speak for itself.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna ever change it super drastically. Like I don't know, Kanye's always going back and forth and stuff like that. Like I might try it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I guess there is no way to answer that question. You just got to get to that point and then see how it hits you, right?
Yeah.
See if you enjoy that stuff. Maybe so far, I mean, like you said, when you're in Vegas, you did, a couple interviews. You've done this. This is your second time on this podcast. So far, clearly the music is the main part that you enjoy, but how do you find this side of the business? Like, do you hate it? Do you put up with it? Is it kind of medium to you? Or?
Yeah, it's just medium. I don't dislike it. I don't love it. It's it's a middle ground. I'd say I like it more than I don't like it.
Right. Yeah. And that's really all you can ask, right? Yeah. Like, is you see a lot of guys that do not like it, and you can see it in them, and it's, you almost feel bad for the guys that I'm trying to think of a good example of guys that like just love to do music and they don't want to deal with any of the bullshit, but they're forced to by like a label or something. Like, I know there's good examples of it, but you can see that and you almost feel bad for him. It's just, like, let this guy just do his music. Yeah. Like, come on, right?
That's part of the business, though.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
Especially when they're signing like record label deals, like that's 100% in their contracts.
For sure it is. And those contracts, like, talk about record label contracts. And you're independent. You have nothing signed to a label or nothing. Yeah, that's nice. Especially being the age you are and getting to see learn from so many others of how they're doing things. Do you have anyone that you look at kind of on that side, like the business side, that you look at that you admire? Like, kind of the first thing that pops in my head just on the independent front is always like Chance the Rapper, of kind of like how he did. Like, he was, from my understanding, I don't know a ton about him, but it seems like he was pretty staunch, like had a ton of pressure to some of that and really bet on himself and kind of push away. Do you see anyone in that lane where you really like how they went about it and kind of model not the music itself, but like the structure of how they attack the business?
I like Russ. He's a rapper. He's independent. He's really talented. He does everything himself, and he's a good businessman. So I look at him, and also kind of Kanye too. Like people think it's ridiculous, but like, those little stem players he just released, where he like, he is providing value. You can mix up these songs. Yeah. Not even just his songs, any songs. It's like $200, but he's keeping all that money that would have just been going to the like Spotify, Apple. Yeah. So he's owning 100% of his stuff.
Exactly. And did his last album, did he only release it on that stem player? Cool. So, man, have you messed around with one of those stem players?
No, I haven't bought one, no.
Man, that'd be cool. I just want to see what they look like. I'm going to have to do some Googling after this, because I've heard on podcasts, I've heard them talk about that and the concept of it. And the first time I heard someone talk about it, I think they were maybe more of a hater or whatever, and they kind of, just thought, this is a dumb idea, it's not going to work. And then I heard someone that knew more about it, and they said, like, you can mix and stuff, you can change things around, you can add different like drum beat songs. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, like for someone who's not into music production, it's like this really easy thing to use. You just scroll like kind of down or up if you want to take something out or add something in, and I think it's a good idea. Yeah,
no shit. I love that. Maybe your next song will be mixed on a stem player and release it on it too. And I bet you he sold a whack of those too, because he has a very dedicated fan base. He probably made some good cash on it too. Not that is the be all end all.
He probably actually would have made more if he put it on Apple and Spotify, but he just wants to own all of his stuff. So I respect that.
Respect the hell of it, right? Like that's everything, especially for someone like yourself that's entering that world and knows what that means and has seen what it's like to not own your stuff. And you see these guys that, at the end of end of an amazing career, don't get me wrong, are just stuck, not holding the bag, because, you still have all the experiences and what you got to see and travel the world. You don't come out of it with nothing by any means, but just as fans of the genre, you wish they would have more. Right? And you can kind of see that and go, well, I don't really like how that panned out. I would like to, have a little bit more.
An interesting one is, like, I'm sure you've heard of Taylor Swift, that situation where she didn't own her masters. Yeah. That was cool. Like redid all the songs so that she could own them. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I can't believe that she got away with it. Like you think just not, I want for sure. I support the hell out of it, but just knowing that industry and knowing how, deep those claws go, just that they would do everything to tear you down. And I think that is a testament to, again, similar to a Kanye West, the only reason she would get away, if she wasn't Taylor Swift, I don't think, right? Is say, trying to think of someone a little bit smaller, like, I don't know, just a more mid-level, like still successful enough that the Masters would mean that to them. But if they try that, they're going to lock you up in court. They're going to do everything to make your life hell. But I think Taylor Swift has just become she's more than just a singer. She's an icon, right? Yeah. And you try and do that to her, people are going to be pretty upset with you, right? Like,
and I think cult following.
Exactly. And that's what you need. But what I love about that is now she's standing in a way, I'm sure this is not what her goal was, but in a way, you're kind of paving the way for other people in the future, right? Like, yeah, Taylor Swift can do it, but now the more middling guy has more of a leg to stand on, both, societally and like legally. Oh, well, Taylor Swift did it, right? Like now you have precedent, and you can kind of push a little farther, and it gives you a little bit more, maybe than the next person does it. It's kind of a cool idea. I'm sure there's a lot of record producers and record labels that are shaking a little bit at that. Well, I think maybe. Wasn't it like Prince or something did something like that where he changed his name? Like it was, I want to say this is before both of our time, so I don't really remember exactly, but like he changed who he was like going as the artist formerly known as Prince instead of Prince, like, and that was some way to get around it, like some sort of record deal.
Heard that. That's
and it might not have been Prince, it was someone else, but that's like how they got around it. Just like, oh, guys get creative when you wrap guys up in that spider web of these bullshit deals and stuff. That's all it is, force them to get creative and how they're going to fuck you back, right? Which I love that stuff. That stuff just gets my blood going, right? Yeah. Like just sticking it to the man. That's what I'm all about. Always have been. Little rebel, getting mad in class when, my friends are getting treated unfairly. That's been me since I was born. I don't know where that came from, but that stuff's great.
Yeah.
Oh man. And I know you the boys I had on, earlier this week, the Bitcoin blockchain bros. Does any of that world interest you? Because like it seems like that's the whole blockchain world is kind of revolutionizing music a little bit more each day. Does any of that excite you, or again, is it kind of where you're so focused on the music itself that's something that if it takes off, you're interested in it, but you don't have the time to kind of fantasize about it?
It interests me, so I think that's the way it'll end up going, but I just don't know how far away it is. I think it's still quite a ways for music. I think it's going to take a lot to get record labels out and for that to take over. I saw a thing though saying that they might be bringing something of that sort to Spotify, which is pretty big.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's interesting.
If that's true, then I'd definitely be looking more into it.
Yeah, you'd be jumping in with both feet if you can. And I think that's probably every artist out there. They're excited about it, but you can't bet your livelihood on something that is that unsure, even though it looks so promising.
Yeah.
And in theory, it seems like that's the answer to all your prayers, right? Like how sure people listening or how familiar people listening would be with kind of that whole world and how ripe it is to be taken over by it, right? Like, but the thing I love about it is the areas that are so ripe for blockchain to come in and absolutely disrupt are the ones that are so evilly unfair to the people that matter, right? To the artists, to the, and those are the ones that are going to take over, and you deserve it, right? Like that, as much as capitalism is not something, people of our age really like to, espouse, and they're all anti-capitalist. Like the idea of that is that's what it's supposed to be. It kind of fell off of that where, if you're being evil and fucking people, something is going to rise up and take it over, and you're going to get left behind like a dinosaur, right? You're going to be the blockbuster.
Yeah.
And it's like, we haven't seen that for a while, but this is kind of exciting to say, oh, well, maybe you might get your comeuppance, all you evil record labels. And I'm sure there's some good ones out there maybe, but for the most part, the horror stories you hear just make a guy, cringe.
Yeah, I would think there's definitely good people at record labels, but it's just for the majority, I feel like it's not really no one really likes it. It's just they'd rather, if they could stay away from it, they would. If they could do it all independently, why wouldn't you?
Exactly. And I think that's a really good point too, that there's good people within them. And what's tough is when it gets to a label of that size, even if you are a really good person, it becomes like, this is the most profitable way to treat this artist. And no matter how good of a person you are and how maybe you have a really good relationship with that artist, if you don't, hook them into one of those 360 deals that is going to put them in a buff spot, tough titties, you're out. We're going to put someone in there and they're going to do that deal with them, right?
At the end of the day, they're just looking for who can make them the most money.
Exactly. It's a tough scenario. And that's where this whole blockchain way of going about it might step into that, because now it doesn't matter. It's, it's going to be fair. And now the people that are consuming the content want to know that it's fair, and they want to consume the people that are being treated fairly, and they're going to start voting with their ears and their dollars for. Yeah.
I feel like it'll take a really big artist to step that way first, because I think most consumers of music don't understand that it's that unfair. Yeah. And even if they do, they don't care. Like, they're just going to go to Apple. Exactly. They're not going to stop listening because of that. So it's going to take a big change.
I think that's a really good point, because I am brutally aware of that. Like, that's, my whole shtick. I'm always into looking for those things. And what do I use? Spotify and Apple, right? Exactly. And like,
it's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. And that's the big sea change that it needs to click over, is when that new world that we're talking about becomes user friendly enough that you can just, it's an app you download and that's all it is. And now, you're treating them fairly, and it's not a real hassle for you to do it.
But even still, I don't know, like, if people are going to go away from Spotify and Apple. So that's why I was kind of excited to see that Spotify might be bringing it into their platform, like, as it is. So
yeah. Well, hey, however it gets there is good with me, right? As long as, to me, all that matters is that the artists are getting their fair share, right? And that's in every different industry, right? But just music is that one that is like the poster boy for this idea that we're talking about, like the unfairness, because like there's just story after story. Like, we could sit here and probably tell 1,000 different stories of 1,000 different huge artists that really fell victim to that thing, and now it's changing.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, love it. So what's the date you're heading to Vegas?
May 11th.
May 11th. Wow. It's coming up.
Yeah.
A couple weeks.
May 14th is the performance.
May 14th is the performance. And like you said, you have nothing specifically on the docket yet, but you imagine there'll probably be some fun activities, some things that you're going to be thrown into feet first.
There's a party at Mike Tyson's house. So
hey, that's
I'm hoping I can get to
watch out for the Tigers.
Yeah. He still has it.
Yeah, I don't think he does anymore, but that's funny. Well, that's awesome, man. Like, I hope you have the best fucking time. I hope you soak it all in. I hope you live it up. I hope you just knock it out of the park, and really, I know you're going to knock it out of the park, but more so just, take it all in and really enjoy it. And, I think you're going to have a great time, and it's probably going to be the start of more. And if you do another show at Dom's this summer, you got to let me know. I want to be there. You heard me say it. I got to cut up a rug. I'll be the best one on the dance floor, guaranteed.
All right.
And if anyone in Slave Lake listens to this and wants to challenge me, let's go. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm betting on Nick.
Yeah, exactly. Good. Your money's pretty safe. I'll tell you that. Anything else that I didn't bring up? Anything? Where can people find you? Oh, that's an important one. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on any social media at Hunter Mouallem, HunterMouallem, and that's also on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anything you listen to music on.
Beautiful. And subscribe on that YouTube channel too. And you can subscribe on Spotify too.
Yeah, you can follow people on Spotify.
Yeah. Follow you on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube. Don't think there's anything like that on Apple.
No, I don't think you can follow. Okay. You can't follow artists.
If there's anything we're missing, do that too.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for being here, Hunter.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Beauty. All right, that was episode 135. Great little episode. Always enjoy talking to Hunter. He's got, like I said in the intro, he's just got such a good head on his shoulders, and you can tell he has a lot of passion for the music that he's making and for the whole artist journey. And I really appreciate that. And I think if nothing else, that is what carries people through to success. That and not giving up. I think it's funny to say because it seems like it's so easy. And if it was that simple, why doesn't everybody do it? But I think to have that true motivation, that true passion to go on that artist journey is much rarer than people think. And it seems like a lot more glorious until once you get into it, and then a lot of people kind of fall off. And I think seeing Hunter succeed in that realm, which I just explained terribly, so it made no sense to you, but it makes sense to me. That's all that matters. It's really inspirational, and I love to see it. Like I said in the intro, please check out the Oilers Uncensored podcast. It's on the same feed as Von Dubcast. Just back up a few episodes. You'll see them. They've been amazing. Not to toot my own horn, but toot fucking toot. They are sick. Let's go. I've been loving it. Oilers are buzzing. Me and Chase are buzzing. Get lessons from Chase playing golf. He's unreal. Share the posts for the Von Dubcast, for the Oilers Uncensored, all those things. Playoffs is a little more expensive. I'm about to say maybe we need to do another ticket giveaway. Oh, also, if Calgary does win tonight, we are trying to figure out a way to do maybe some ticket swaps or something to get down to Calgary for some games. So if you know anybody, let us know, and we will see what we can hook up, because I think me and Chase need to go into enemy territory and absolutely bring that Oilers passion level down south. So that's the last little thing I'll say, but it probably won't even matter because Calgary's probably going to lose tonight to Dallas, even though they are 3 times the team that they are, and it's kind of goddamn sad. But it doesn't matter because the Oilers are Alberta's team. We all knew that before this even started. Let's effing go. All right, here's the episode. Or that was the episode. This is an intro. This is an outro. Holy man, I'm just so fired up. I got to go watch hockey. Sorry, people. Talk to you on the next one. Bye.